Bot product. Run. Bleep bloop. Oh, should I bring up the notes? Is that what we do when I stream? Is that the new jam?
I don't know, but you should link it in the channel to ping people.
I'll
Pung people?
let Mike pung people while I get the notes up. Alright, display. You know, I'll just do a full-on display capture. I'll zoom in a little bit so for you blindos. This is good. And then if I... Alright, Mike, what do you think my desktop image is before I minimize this?
I'm busy doing stuff. Hang on.
True. As you should be.
What do I think your desktop image is? Based on what you've been streaming lately, probably something Fire Emblem-y.
Alright, are you ready? Are you ready? You're gonna love it. I promise.
Yeah, go ahead.
Boop. Oh, get out of here, bot product. There it is. Yeah. Obviously,
Screen delay.
I had the bunny suit Sazed there for like a year or two. Like basically since I drew it, it was my desktop icon, and I just changed this like a week ago. And I had to fix some of the artifacts because you sent it as a JPEG, and I didn't like the teal background color. So it's like my desktop has to be black. I can't see anything unless my desktop background is black. All right. 6 of the Dusk. Death hunted beneath the waves. Let's go. I think my timer. All right.
Okay. I'm ready to get started whenever you guys are.
Wait, let me feed the snake. I spelled it wrong. Hang on. Let me feed it better. I'm so sad. Poor ghost snake. I feel like there was something else I wanted to do before we started.
Go poop.
No, I did that as soon as I got home.
Take a nap.
I'm gonna do that after this. Whatever, let's just go. I'm sure I'll think of it. If it's important, it'll come up in the middle of the episode. Just go.
Tori, you ready?
I also am ready.
Okay. In 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to the Cosmere Deep Dive Podcast. I'm your host, Mike. Joining me this week are Dave.
Hey.
And Tori.
Hello, Internet.
Craig is busy with Mother's Day stuff because we're recording on Mother's Day. And the rest of us don't have mothers.
I sent her flowers. All right. And chocolate.
Same.
All right, so Dave, we do good thing first, so yeah.
My good thing this week is my mom. She's awesome. She made me. That's how you know she's awesome. I did send her flowers and chocolates, and a lot of our listeners are European. I don't know when your Mother's Day is, but ours is today on this date of recording. If you're American and you're listening to this as a podcast release, you are way too late. You didn't send your mom flowers or call her or do anything. So yeah, my mom is awesome. My good thing this week is, in addition to my mother, my good thing this week is Riichi Mahjong, which is like, it's kind of like the Mahjong originated in China, but like most things, Japan just kind of took China's idea and made it better. Riichi Mahjong, which is available on Nintendo Switch Clubhouse 51 games with online play, and I'm looking for people to play against. It's like, if you're not familiar with Mahjong, it's very similar to Rummy. But there are just like crazy like stipulations for whether or not your hand is a valid hand. Like, so there's like a list of valid hands. Like it either has to be like runs, like equivalent runs in every suit, or has to like not include any ones or nines, or like they have these honor tiles. Certain honor tiles can make your hand valid. Like if you have 3 dragons or 3 of the correct direction of wind. But it's, I don't know, it's just kind of, it's really fun. You can kind of see the, like, you can really see the Asian culture just by playing the game, which I really love. And that's just, I like games, and I like card games, and it's played with tiles, but it's basically a card game. I find it a little more interesting than Rummy. So it goes like, all right, here's my breakdown. Gin Rummy, like 2-player Gin Rummy is fantastic. Then Riichi Mahjong, and then like Rummy 500. Rummy 500 is like Rummy for scrubs who don't care about if their game is heavy RNG, to be honest. Rummy 500 can be fun, but usually one person just gets everything. I don't know. I've had many times playing Rummy 500 where it just wasn't fun and it dragged on. Gin Rummy's pretty good because it's 2-player and it's fairly quick compared to Rummy 500. But yeah, so the Japanese kind of added this, like, all right, so like, yeah, China, you got this Mahjong game and you got all these like stipulations on making a valid hand. Like that's cool and all, but let's do this. Like if you don't steal tiles from other players, we're going to add in this mechanic that lets you validate your hand just by getting what they call Riichi. So like you basically bet 1,000 points to say, hey, I only need one more tile to finish my hand, and I'm gonna like stop manipulating my hand, and that it validates your hand as well. So like you bet 1,000 points to validate your hand that you're going to get the final tile that you need without rearranging anything else in your hand. So it really kind of like, it makes it a lot easier to get a valid hand. I like I said, I play against the AI on Clubhouse 51 games on Nintendo Switch. If you're in our Discord server, I would love to do some online play if you have Clubhouse 51 games and a Switch and a Nintendo Online subscription, which is a lot of stipulations, but I really like the game. It's not like super complicated strategy, but it's a lot of fun. I went on way longer than I thought I was going to about Mahjong. Sorry.
I would be interested in trying this with you because I've been playing Mahjong for years.
Awesome.
The Sega Master System had it as a game called Shanghai.
Oh.
And so I remember playing that with my dad when I was like 3 and 4 years old.
Okay.
And so I've been playing Mahjong for a long time, and it's nothing like what you're describing. The part where it's Riichi Mahjong or Mahjong Riichi or whatever apparently changes the entire game.
Well, you might have played Chinese version. So there's also Mahjong Solitaire, which you might know from Windows Entertainment Pack as Taipei, I think. There's that, which is also on Clubhouse 51 Games, by the way, if you like that. But yeah, so I know Tori recently got a Switch, so definitely got to trade friend codes. You're into that?
I would love to try that with you. I'm wondering if maybe Mahjong is just the name of the tiles.
Yeah, that
occurred to me just now.
That sounds correct.
And then the games have different names. I don't know. Seems like something to research later, but
yeah, I think the Chinese had the game Mahjong, and then the Japanese added the Riichi part of it, where you have more options to make a valid hand to kind of expedite the game.
But fun story. I memorized all the tiles when I was a little kid.
I cannot play with the Chinese and Japanese tiles. Like I need to have the numbers to tell me what the numbers mean.
Well, and there was a gentleman in the library one day who was playing it online, and I came over his shoulder and I was like, "You've got a green dragon free there," and he was like, "I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about." The squiggle, the green squiggle, that one? Yeah, it's a dragon.
Also, a real fun point here. There are 3 different dragon tiles. There's a green dragon tile with a pattern on it. and it's green, a red dragon tile with a red pattern on it, and a white
Yep.
dragon tile that's just a blank tile. It's just a blank tile, but it's the white dragon. So
yes.
my friends and I call it.
Stylistically, it's a white square, but sometimes they just leave off the square and it's a blank tile.
Right. So my friends and I got to calling it "No Eyes, No Dragon."
Oh my god.
I'm not going to explain that joke. I'm just going to let next person do a good thing.
Hi, I'm next person.
Yay.
Joining me this week are...
My good thing this week is a tabletop role-playing game called Panic at the Dojo. It is made by Jacob Randolph of Library Gothica Games. It's available from RPG Drive-Thru for $16 for the PDF, and it's super cool. So the mechanics of the game don't actually care about the setting, so you can shift the setting to whatever you want, but like the default setting is a world where I had this written down before when I was describing it to people. Hang on. A world where all disputes, no matter how petty, are resolved through elaborate semi-magical kung fu battles. And then character building is 100% modular. There's like 5 different sort of blocks that you plop in, and each block has a bunch of different options in it. So like, I don't know the math, but there's some ridiculous number of like combinations possible. It's just it's bonkers. Yeah, Panic at the Dojo. Fun stuff.
I love the title.
As do I. Yeah, I'm planning to do probably a multi-session one-shot at some point where the plot is...
What's a multi-session one-shot? That sounds contradictory.
A one-shot doesn't necessarily mean it's a one-session game. It just means it's one
adventure.
One sort of plot thread.
I see. I misunderstood the term. My apologies.
Anywho, the basic plot will be that a bunch of people who live near each other and go hang out at a local convenience store. The guy who owns it is selling it to a chain, and they're changing absolutely nothing about the store except one flavor of the slushie machine. And this insult cannot stand.
I like it.
I like tabletop games.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a preview of the first, 50 or 60 pages of the book available on RPG Drive-Thru before you even buy the thing. And then, it's $16, which, if all you've ever bought is the Wizards of the Coast D&D stuff, it's a huge, huge bargain. Indie RPGs...
$16 is very reasonable.
Indie RPGs are super cheap. This is like at the high-end, expensive end of the indie RPG range. Mostly because the people who make them wildly undervalue their work, which is a shame. But yeah, Panic at the Dojo. Tori.
I'm a copy Dave and say my good thing is my mom, because today's Mother's Day. I have a secondary good thing also, but first off, my mom is the perfect mom for me and loves me unconditionally, and she is a phenomenal person, and I owe so much of my success in life to her, and she's beautiful, and she doesn't listen to the podcast, but I love you, Mom.
My mom doesn't listen to the podcast, but she is a patron.
I bet my mom would be if she knew what podcasts and patrons were, but she's not that type of person. But secondary good thing, the new Mortal Kombat movie. It's okay, it's terrible. But we expected it to be terrible. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It's got martial arts in it, lots of callbacks to the old games, and okay, full disclosure, I haven't played a Mortal Kombat game since 2, but 1 and 2, I played a lot, and this was back in the day when they were on the arcade machines and the home versions hadn't been released yet, so every time you played it cost a quarter and you had to make the most of that. I used to play it a lot with my brother, and there were so many callbacks to the game in the movie. And also, we got a new version of that techno theme song that I love, and now I can add that to my running playlist. Um, but yeah, if you want just a ridiculous martial arts movie with ridiculous special effects and just turn off your brain for a couple of hours and enjoy a movie that's pretty and also fun, but with no plot. Like you don't have to pay attention to it. Like you can be playing on your phone at the same time and it's totally fine. Totally fine.
That's basically what I got out of James Rolfe's review of the new Mortal Kombat movie. He's like, really good action and fan service, and they brought all of your favorite characters together. Like they did what they promised to do, right?
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a fan of the games or even the old movie, which is something else entirely, that's a future good
Well,
thing right
that's where
there.
the song came from, right? The old movie, I think.
Yeah, but it was based on something in one of the games, I'm sure.
Nope.
They just
No?
said all of the characters' names in the
The
song.
95 movie established at least a few things that actually went over to the games. So
It's just been part of my life for so long now.
the biggest thing is Kano being Australian was not a thing until that movie, and then Trevor Goddard did such an amazing job in the role that they're just like, yeah, Kano's Australian from now on,
Well,
and
yeah,
that's
I mean,
always been true.
back in those early games, the characters didn't really talk other than, grunts and screams when they were hitting each other. So I don't know where an Australian accent would have come up until the movie happened.
Yeah, but I find it a shame that this movie was apparently quite bad. Uh, Mostly because the 95 movie is extremely watchable. Mostly because it's like a carbon copy of Enter the Dragon, as it should be. And then the later games, like starting with Mortal Kombat 9, have actually had legit good stories and like
Look,
actual plots. And yeah,
I think that's true of a lot of video game series over the years. In their infancy, video games just didn't have a lot of story going on. Look at the first Legend of Zelda game; that there was not a lot happening there. It's yes, an entire lore has grown up around it in the preceding games, but it's there's not a lot in the first one. Look at Final Fantasy 1. I mean, there's video games have matured a
I
lot
was
over
thinking
the
of
years
Final
that they've been
Fantasy
around.
1 today. Like I legit was thinking about Final Fantasy 1 today in my favorite FF1 party. It's like as a random thought. I don't know. Final Fantasy 1's good. It just was broken on the NES, that's all.
Yeah, in many ways. I have a very soft spot in my heart for Final Fantasy 1. So, but anyway, moving on. Mortal Kombat movie, in the words of my father, set your expectations low and then lower them.
yeah, that sounds about right. Hey Dave, speaking of low expectations, this bit of short fiction is at or near the bottom for many Cosmere fans. I'm not one of them. I love this one.
Honestly, I was like, we just did rankings last week, right? And I'm like, Could I possibly rank this lower than Hope of Elantris? I don't think I would, but it would probably be right above Hope of Elantris.
I laughed out loud when you said that.
Yeah, it's only because Hope of Elantris is basically a fanfic. All right, so this week we're going to cover the short story Sixth of the Dusk by Brandon Sanderson, and fun little meta story here. I was chatting with Lamgwin in a Twitch stream the other day, and I had only read maybe like the first with Mike, who's also named Lamgwin on Twitch, and. I had maybe read the first 10 pages of Sixth of the Dusk, and I was like, this guy's name is Dusk, but the title is Sixth of the Dusk. So, like, he's not the Dusk, he's Dusk. So, like, what does the Dusk refer to? And Mike replies in chat, his full name is Sixth of the Dusk, but they call him Dusk for short. And I was like, haha, great joke, Lamgwin / Mike. And then when I read the next 10 pages, I was like, oh, that wasn't a joke. So this short story stars a man by the name Sixth of the Dusk. Sixth because he's the sixth child of his parents, and Dusk because he was born during the dusk. But the dusk of what? We'll find out. My bullet points are a little bit sloppy. I tried to break them down a little bit. So I did basically a break every 10 pages. The story's just over 50 pages, or right about 50 pages. All right, so let us get going. This takes place on the first planet, first of the sun. It has a name, but I've forgotten it. The name is given in Arcanum Unbounded. I didn't read about like the investiture and Cosmere-ish shardy stuff, but I did see the name of the planet. But I forgot it anyway. So podcast is back on, you guys. All right, let's go. Death hunted beneath the waves. The guy with the crescent scar? Curly the parrot. Are we reading back-to-back short fictions about swashbucklers? Who is Sack? Another bird? Ones above give out free maps. They worship islands? Archipelagantheon? Pachi is the Jumanji island. Somehow it just says Juma. Pachi is the Juma. But that was supposed to be Pachi is the Jumanji island. All right.
It really is. It really is.
What's a krill? So now this dude can communicate with animals telepathically. Almost reminds me of Awakening. In before the refugee is Hoyd, a woman. All right, so there is an archipelago called the Pantheon, and they worship each individual island like it's a god. And this story takes place on the island that Dusk, our main character, calls Father, or more properly, the island is somewhere else in my bullet points. Oh man, Pachi, I think Pachi, Pachi, Haji, Pachi. So yeah, this guy's not a swashbuckler. He's actually the Rock from Moana, I think. It's in the afterword notes. Brandon talks about his fascination with Polynesian culture. So not quite swashbuckly like I expect Allomancer Jack to be. So this dude's got two birds. He's got Kokirli, who has a colorful plumage. So I'm imagining like a macaw parrot, but the thing acts like a cat more than anything. It's just like when you're not paying attention to it, it's like, pay attention to me. And when you're paying attention to it, it's just like, doesn't do anything.
It's a chicken.
It's a chicken. Okay. Is it a green chicken from Roshar Shindo?
To my knowledge, it's not from Roshar, but following Roshar and naming convention, all chickens are chickens.
It's actually from the mainland, or no, Sack is from the mainland of Planet One. All right. Yeah. So this dude's got two birds. One of it gives him premonitions of death and helps him avoid traps and natural dangers and such. And so he's following. Dusk is following an invader who I think he figures out that it's from kind of like the colonizers. But he thinks it's a youth, and then it turns out to be a woman. That's why the footprints are lighter and such and so forth. But she's pretty smart. She disarms a couple of traps and finds his safe camp somehow. And we'll move on to the next section if there's nothing else to add here.
Nope.
Something reminded me of Awakening, like from Warbreaker, but I can't remember what. That he, like maybe because he like tells the birds to do stuff, like Awakening.
Oh no, it was like some kind of little mouse. I don't remember the name. But he
Oh
tells them to bite
yeah,
people,
yeah, that's right.
bite others.
He's like bite things, or grab things. Yeah, that really reminded me of the simple commands given to Awakenings and Warbreaker. Yeah, you're right.
It specifically reminded me of Aloysius because that was exactly what he was supposed to do.
Yep. All right, let's move on. You are not Yelani, but Mulan is. Vathi, like from Link Between Worlds or something, and she wears a green linen skirt. And I know a Zelda speedrunner named Green Linen Shirt, so she's a Zelda character. Possibly Linkle. All right. Sixth. You know what? All right, I'm gonna cut in right here. So originally, Brandon wanted to call this character Sixth instead of Dusk, but he got some feedback from pre-readers or whatever, and they were like, that's a little hard to read, Brandon. And he changed it to Dusk. And just reading this bullet point, I'm like, he made the right choice. 6 parents are an 11th and a 12th. So this is like anti-Ender's Game because they can have more than 3 children. All right. And even in Ender's Game, people mostly weren't allowed to have 3 children. All right. Why do people feel the need to speak when there is nothing to say? Just a great line. Dusk is based on that character from Hey Arnold, who in turn is based on that character from the producers. There's a lot of corpses. He must be in love. What are your people doing? So now we have Dusk and the woman, Vathi, talking in his little cabana. And, you know, he's like, oh, there were women trappers before. He's a trapper. I think I forgot to mention that. So he traps something, and we're learning what. I think actually in this section we learn it. Like they're supposed to be trapping these birds who give magic powers called talents. So at this point we learn that the birds are invested, and they kind of pass on investiture to people. So they're really important. So he's a trapper, but he's also breeding these birds. We find out here. But anyway, there was one female trapper named Yelani, and he's like, oh, every culture has a story with a woman disguising herself as a man and joining it. Yeah, so like, yeah, every culture has a Mulan, basically. So Vathi, I think there's someone whose name is almost Vathi and Link Between. That bullet point doesn't mean anything. Let's see. 11th and 12th. All right. So yeah, did you guys ever see that episode of Hey Arnold where Arnold has to get his bird fixed and he finds this guy who's wearing like a pilot helmet goggle thingy and he's like a bird keeper like living out on a rooftop. But then like when you get older and you watch the producers, you're like, hey, that guy, that bird dude, that's like this guy from the producers, played by Will Ferrell in the remake. I don't actually know who played him in the original. And then he's got birds. That was the whole point of that bullet point. He's got birds. And all of a sudden, as he's talking to Vathi, Sack shows him visions of tons and tons of his corpses. And it seems like he's about to engage in the most dangerous endeavor of all, and that is love. So we'll see where that goes. But then he turns to Vathi and he's like, why am I seeing all these corpses? What are your people doing? So he suspects that the colonizers, the people trying to progress in technology and what forth, have done something to endanger his father, the island Apache, and he's not happy, so he wants to go stop them, whatever the heck it is they're doing. Anything to add?
Nope.
All right. So they set off from his cabana to go and get the... I forget what term they actually use. Not the colonizers. I've been using colonizers because it's more common and helps people not familiar to understand what's going on here.
I think they were researchers.
They're researchers, but basically they're trying to like not terraform, but they're trying to like trying to colonize Pachi and advance everything without upsetting the ecosystem. They're I don't know. Whatever. The ones above, whoever they are, violated the Prime Directive and gave the Firstians a universal translator and a lifeform scanner, which is how Vathi found Dusk's camp, because she had a lifeform scanner to find these birds. Avians, they call them, with a capital A. And they are invested...
AVRs.
AVRs, I'm sorry. I guess they're avians with a lowercase a then, and AVRs with a capital A. We have to turn off the giant fax machine. So they've got this machine that scans where the AVRs are and prints out a map of where they are. All right. Sack has a unique talent. Sack is a mainlander bird, but raised in the Pantheon. Vathi has some sort of projectile weapon that looks like a map tube. First of the sky. Oh, first of the sky. First of the sky. First of the sky. Pachi's finger. Sky's journal. Yeah, alright, so they go out, they find another trapper, first of the sky, and he's dead. Vathi has, I guess, a shotgun? I don't know. It says she loads it with spears, but, like, I could see shotgun shells being interpreted as spears by people with lower technological advancements. We also learned that Sack, Dusk's bird that gives him the ability to foresee his death, has a unique talent. None of the other AVR have been shown to have this talent. And we also learned that Sack was born on the mainland and then later raised on the Pantheon. So the birds that were born on the mainland are not invested. But then somehow bringing Sack to the Pantheon, to Pachi, made it invested, to use the Cosmere term. And they're like, how did that happen? All right, well, maybe we'll find out like 16 bullet points from now. Vathi has some sort of projectile weapon, I guess, whatever. First of the sky. Pachi's finger is some sort of poison tree, I don't know. And then they find Sky's journal. And then, yeah, so the danger is probably because Vathi showed up. Yep, it's definitely Luff. Okay. That's all. They're on their way to the colonizers' like fortress or whatever to have them turn off some big fax machine that tells them where birds are. I don't know. All right then. Vathi sets off a trap. Dusk talks to her like an apprentice hunter. Dusk was not born at dusk. Nightmaw, aka Wolfbird. Vathi shoots an exploding map at the Nightmaw. Dusk wants to extinguish the Nightmaws. I told you we should have brought more than 3 bullets. And I posted the relevant clip. I posted the relevant clip from The Simpsons in our Discord server, patreon.com/CosmereCast, to get a link to our Discord server. And you do not need to be a patron to join our Discord. So check it out. Let's be real. Vathi would make a fantastic trapper of the Dusk of the Dusk. Yeah, so Vathi walks into some dumb trap, and Dusk saves her. And we learn the true origin of Dusk's name. He was born 6th of the Dusk, but Dusk does not refer to the time of day. Dusk refers to the downfall of their civilization and their way of life. Yep. All right. Because his mom was like, yeah, can't stop progress. when progress wants to progress. So then they've got these night maws, which are like giant wolf bird thingies, and they're like, oh, wolf birds are unkillable, and Vathi shoots a shotgun shell at it. And Dusk is like, oh, we can kill all of them. And Vathi's like, oh, that will upset the ecosystem. And then she's like, I only have one bullet left anyway. Or one spear left anyway. So she had used one before running into Dusk, I guess. And then the second one here. She only has one left. Yeah, I guess that's it. Moving on. Vathi is a lowercase s seeker. That is, she asks a lot of questions and she's looking for answers. Not that she can burn copper or bronze. Bronze. Every burb comes to Pachi to learn how to be a jerk. Infested worms. Dusk the decoy. They lost the night mail somehow. I'm sleepy. Oh yeah, I read this kind of late last night, and the bullet points kind of degrade from here. But so Vathi asks a lot of questions, and we as readers and Vathi, and basically all of civilization outside of the trappers, if she can survive, we'll learn that yeah, it's actually the worms that the birds eat on Pachi that are invested.
There's a fruit that grows on some trees.
Mm-hmm.
The worms eat the fruit. The birds eat the worms. And then humans bond with the birds. And then magic powers happen.
And then aliens try to steal the birds.
Yes.
All right. So the investiture actually comes from the fruit then?
Originally, yes. Which itself comes from the island.
Alrighty. Blah, blah, blah. They lost the night maws. So yeah, they kill one night maw and there's more chasing them, and they're like, oh, they can smell us, and but they can also read minds, but these flowers or something. Or Catbird actually also can block their minds from the night maws or something. I don't know. Alright. The final girl is talking, but should Dusk talks. They didn't turn on the machine, but they did open it, and they forgot to check for scorpions or death ants or whatever. Your death drive to be deserved, Pachi. The ones above can't trade until we're advanced, aka literally the print directive. Literally the prime directive.
Boy, they do degrade, don't they?
They are planning to do to us what we would do to Pachi. The refund me if Hitchhiker's Guide. I think that's supposed to be they remind me of Hitchhiker's Guide, not the refund me if Hitchhiker's Guide. Above us,
Sleepy Dave's typing gets real bad, you guys.
It's on my phone. All right, I was lying in bed, reading, trying to type. I let the autocomplete sprint do their thing. It's whatever. Above us, Burb worms the circle of life, undewed his pants pocket. They cams the end. What?
I don't know, man. I'm hoping you're going to tell us.
All right, let's go through these one at a time. Girl is talking, but should Dusk talks. So Vathi is talking to the company, which that's what they're calling the company, right? So she's trying to convince them to turn off the machine, and Dusk is like, yeah, I should probably say something, but I'm not good at saying stuff. All right. They didn't turn on the machine, but they did open it, and they forgot to check for scorpions. This kind of like reminded me of when Vathi goes to the cabana, and Dusk is like, make sure there's no scorpions in your cup before you make yourself coffee. And oops, there's scorpions in the machine. They didn't turn it on yet, but they opened it. But also, I think like the aliens planted death ants there. I don't know. Like, all right. You death strive to be deserved, Pachi. Your destruction or destiny or something. So basically, all right. So I understand the point of this bullet point, and that is that Dusk is mad at Father Island Pachi, because he's like, you always try to kill people that are out for your best interest, Pachi. You deserve to die. So that's that. All right. The ones above can't trade until we're advanced, aka literally the Prime Directive. For those not familiar with the Star Trek universe, especially, I mean, I'm most familiar with the Next Generation. This comes up a lot. So the Federation, which is, you know, the heroes of Star Trek, the Next Generation, the Federation is not allowed to intervene with planets that have not yet developed warp drive capabilities naturally through their evolution. So what's going on here is there are the ones above. Basically, they want these invested birds, and they're trying to get around the Prime Directive because they're not allowed to trade directly and get these birds. So they're trying to kind of like nudge along the technology of Planet One. So they're violating the Prime Directive. So they're planning to do to us what we would do to Pachi. So it's like, oh, we're trying to take it. I don't know. I don't care. All right. The refund me if Hitchhiker's Guide. Which part of this was like Hitchhiker's Guide? Oh yeah, so you know how like in the beginning of Hitchhiker's Guide where the demolition crew comes in and they're trying to knock down Arthur Dent's house, and then they're like, we're just gonna knock down your house. How did you not know we were gonna knock down your house? And then the Vogon bulldozers come in to knock out the planet Earth, and they're like, you had 30 years to evacuate your planet. How did you not know about this ordinance to make space for a hyperspace bypass, blah, blah, blah. So it's like that. It's like the aliens are trying to manipulate and take advantage of the people on this planet, like the people on this planet are trying to take advantage and manipulate the island Pachi. Above us, burb worms. Yeah, so it's like the whole like, it's like, oh, the ones from above are acting to the company like the company is acting to the trappers, like the trappers act to the birds, like the birds to the worms to the apples, and bump on the log and all that under the sea.
And the green
Circle
grass
of life.
grows all around, all around. And
Yep,
the green
all
grass grows
that.
all around.
All of that. Yeah. All right. Undue his pants pocket. I don't know what it means to undo your pants pocket. I guess he's got like a satchel attached. I don't know.
Clearly he's wearing cargo pants with the button flaps on their pockets.
Oh, okay. That's what it is. All right.
Totally what these outdoorsy types wear.
And then finally, Dusk and Vathi Spakehams. That's the greatest danger of all, the end. So they're going to try to protect the world from these ones from above. You know, these aliens that are trying to break them out of their cocoon of technological evolution. So like they dropped all these, they're like, oops, I dropped this machine that tells you how to find the birds. Oops, I dropped this machine that gives you warp drive so that we can trade with you. Oops, I dropped this universal translator so that you can understand what all this stuff does. So basically, like, they're not going to be culturally mature enough to understand the value of what they have, and the ones from above are trying to take advantage of that, but still get them to the point where it's legal to trade with them and get these burbs. And that's it.
Tell me more about Spakehams. Is that a regional dialect?
Yeah, it's upstate New York.
Yep, that's where I was going.
Thank you.
Excellent.
You're welcome. The end. I think that's all we got for this one.
Okay. Some questions for you then.
All right.
Who are the ones above?
Obviously some sort of world hoppers, but they also apparently have spacecraft. I kind of wondered if Brandon wanted to connect this with Skyward before deciding Skyward was not Cosmere. Yeah.
Probably not.
But it also seems like they're not like world hopping in the way that like Hoyd and the rest do. It seems like they actually have spacecraft that can like fly through space. Like they're actually going from planet to planet all completely within the material realm, it seems.
Yes, I believe you are correct there.
So who are they? I don't know. Elantrians? I don't know.
Okay.
Is it some dragon?
I mean, maybe. We don't actually know.
Maybe it could be like a shard bearer that can actually like fly. But I'm pretty sure they have like spacecraft, don't they?
That's the implication. I don't remember if it outright said in the text, but that's definitely the implication.
Okay.
So this is, to the best of my knowledge, the latest thing in the timeline.
That is correct.
According to the afterword, yes. So basically, like the part that the part that I didn't read, the part from Chris's perspective introducing it, I think even like Chris's ratings at the beginning happened before this story happened.
Likely, yes.
That also is correct.
Right. That's I read the afterword. That's what it says.
What else?
So maybe they're from Scadrial then, because Scadrial seems the most technologically advanced out of every story we've read so far.
Tori, you got anything?
Not for non-spoiler time. Let's speculate for a minute about what these other burbs can do. So, from what we see, we've got, and the audiobook pronounces it Cokerly, which can hide their minds from the monster things.
Copper
And
Cloud
Oh,
Bird.
I have a question then. So are the shades and the wolf burbs, are they invested because they can like detect people by mind?
that seems likely. Also, did we get a description of the shadows? I don't think we did.
I didn't give one.
Yeah, the wolf things were pretty thoroughly described, I thought.
And terrifying.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, the shadows
But
like
the shadows are just mentioned.
are like in the ocean, right? Well, we didn't Vathi say that she shot one of the shadows? That's where her
She
first
shot
bullet
at
went.
one of the shadows.
Shot at one, okay.
Oh, also, I was imagining her gun to be more of like a harpoon gun, like a fancy, not a crossbow, but like
Like a spear gun, harpoon gun. Yeah, I was thinking of something like that as well.
Like the one that Quinn had at the end of Jaws.
I know what a harpoon gun is. I've played enough video games and
No, I mean that specifically is the one I was picturing in my head.
Yeah, the reason I was thinking more shotgun is because Dusk is momentarily deafened by the explosion of the weapon. And also usually harpoon guns, the spear is attached to the gun, and also it killed a thing just by shooting at it once. Like unless she like had really good aim and shot it in the heart or the eyeball or something. Like I don't think she's getting a one-shot kill on this Death Maw.
Well, what if it was an exploding harpoon? Like, I'm trying to remember what horror movie that was.
Jaws.
No, I think it was Deep Star 6.
Could be.
No, I think it was Jaws.
Jaws 3 / Deep Star 6 / First Blood Part 3.
I love those horror movies that take place in, around, underwater, like, love them. Love them. So anytime it's like, deep sea research station and then monsters, I'm there for it. 100%. Deep Star 6 is an old one from the 80s. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I want to say it was some kind of like crustacean monster attacking this deep sea research station. Um, but yeah, there was a scene, I think it was this movie. Somebody accidentally fires the exploding harpoon gun at a crewmate and goes crazy afterwards and causes problems beyond that caused by the monster attacking the station. You didn't need to know that. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It's water.
So, what would happen if a human ate the fruit?
See, that's what I'm wondering. There's almost kind of a biblical thing going on here, of the fruit of the tree in the midst
Mm-hmm.
of the garden.
Yeah, like I wonder if it would be too much investiture. But I guess like the different species of bird have different talents. So maybe you just
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, let's speculate on what the other talents are. So we see only um, Dusk's birds. Like that's all we get
what if there's
in this
an
story.
AVR that lets you detect nearby AVR? That would be a
What
good
if
one.
there is?
Like a bronze burning AVR?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe there's an AVR
And so
that keeps you from getting hungry.
his other AVR is sort of an ATM AVR or a gold mine or what?
Limited ATM because he can only see himself.
He
Okay,
can
so
see the future.
Craig's take on this is that what Sixth sees, or what Dusk sees, rather, because calling him Sixth is awkward. What Dusk sees from, geez, what's the bird's name?
Zach?
Sack. Is similar to the effect of burning electrum. Is Craig's whole deal here?
That's fair.
I don't know that I agree, because we haven't really seen electrum used outside of the context of specifically countering ATM.
So in theory, the other types of birds would follow the allomantic metals.
Potentially. I mean, we have basically examples of definitely one, possibly two. Why not expand to all 16?
And
Just gotta find the right
ferrochemical
species.
metals. Maybe there's one that heals you. Maybe there's one that makes you faster. Maybe there's one that makes you heavier.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, we have copper and potentially electrum analogs here. So
Yeah, did we only get these two burbs?
yep.
Wow.
Apparently
Well,
they are quite popular on the mainland.
yeah, Vati had one with her that we didn't find out what it did.
It got annoyed by Cokerly. Oh
Well,
yeah, it was injured and they had to leave it back at the cabana. That's right.
this world also is kind of terrifying and full of giant monsters that actively want to eat you all the time forever. So yeah, having a bird that can prevent them from noticing you seems good.
Oh, that was
Seems
another thing. When Dave mentioned that this is totally not Ender's Game and we have more than thirds here. It's like, yeah, you have to have a lot of children when the landscape is hostile and is going to eat all of them. Like, that's why animals have so many offspring.
So,
Yeah,
which was the bird that Vathi did not think was aviar? Was that Sack or Cokerly?
that was
Sack.
Zach.
So you didn't think, because Sack was a mainland bird that was raised on the Pantheon.
Sack is like a raven or a crow or something.
That's what I was picturing, yes.
And up to that point, the only types of aviar she had known of were like tropical parody birds.
Hmm.
And by that I mean chickens. They're all chickens.
Colorful chickens, also known as peacocks. So,
Well, they're peacock.
do we have any information on the shard of the first planet that I'm allowed to know about? Do we
Not that you're allowed to know about.
Yeah, we have some info. We have some
Okay.
guesses with a lot of backup evidence. I guess is the best way of putting it.
Okay.
Which is to say, we're pretty sure we know what caused Patji to be there and to be so hostile, and why.
Ah. Well, that's it for me then.
Yeah, it seems
Yeah.
like.
And I think we're not doing a spoiler time this week. So short episode.
Right.
Yeah, Alamancor
Because
Jack's pretty short, and you guys can talk about all the spoiler stuff with. Well, Tori won't be here next week, sadly.
I will be. The thing I have going on next week, which is another good thing, my baby brother is graduating from law school next weekend, and we've got a family party in the afternoon. But like I said, it's in the afternoon, so we should be done with the podcast before then, and I'll have plenty of time to do both things with my day. But we do want Craig to be here with us when we have our spoiler discussion of this story, because I'm sure he's got a lot.
You don't say.
Congrats to lawyer brother.
Yes.
GG.
I'm so proud. I'm so proud.
And then let us know when he passes the bar, because that'll be another congrats.
Yes. I taught
Uh,
him how to read, you guys. That was me.
How about if we end on rankings? Because I've updated mine to include Six of the Dusk and Alamancor Jack.
Well, you already heard mine. I'm just gonna slip this one in above Hope of Elantris.
So below the 11th medal, above Hope of Elantris.
I think when I understand this story better, I'll like it better than 11th medal, but I'll leave it there for now.
Okay. Tori?
Gosh, I think I would rate this one probably between Elantris and Emperor's Soul. So it's like a third of the way up from the bottom for me. I really like the setting. I like the burbs. I like, exploring in the jungle. Like I grew up reading a lot of that Victorian exploration literature, like H.
Jumanji.
Rider Haggard, and yeah, basically.
Okay, so for Tori, that's 8 out of 13. For Dave, that is 12 out of 13. My spot is number 9 out of 13. So that is below Shadows for Silence and above Warbreaker, which are all above my huge gap. All right.
But as far as ranking Alamancor Jack, you're going to have to ask me next week because I need to read it again first.
I've already got mine ranked, which if you feel like clicking on the spoilers in the cast list channel, you can see where it is as a little preview. And it may surprise some of you, and it may not surprise some of you. All right, that's an episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, Internet.
Let's travel some Gillicuddies.
Okay. File